My name is R. Crosby Lyles, and this is News from the Can. This is Live Science, came out July 23rd, 2018. The title is Here's a Disturbing Theory About Why Climate Change Seemed to Pause for 15 Years. In a nutshell, basically what they're saying is that they acknowledge, I'll just read it for you, in 2004 climate change disaster flick the day after tomorrow increased greenhouse gases in the atmosphere have a paradoxical effect. Rather than heating up the planet, they trigger a sudden onset global ice age. The movie was very silly and unscientific, but there was a kernel of truth at the core of it. The Earth really does have a massive hidden air conditioning system that messes with the climate in paradoxical, unexpected ways and is, in turn, affected by climate change. And a new paper turns to that AC unit to possibly answer one of the abiding mysteries of climate change. Why did warming seem to pause from the mid-1990s to the early 2000s? They say that scientists found that the AMOC was slower and weaker between 1975 and 1998 than it was in the 15 years that followed. And the world didn't cool between 1975 and 1998. Rather, that was when the first signs of significant global warming became evident. Well, I don't know if anybody remembers 1983 and 1984, but it was damn cold in Florida. And that was because of El Chichon and Mount St. Helens and a few volcanoes that went up, and it got quite cold. We had a spate of teen temperatures. It was in the teens for like 2 weeks, a week or something like that. It was so cold here in north central Florida that the fuel oil froze. We had an oil burner furnace, central air, and the oil froze inside the tank. That's how cold it was. So, but there were volcanoes and stuff like that. So, yeah, maybe that's a side issue. But essentially what they're saying is that this explains the pause that happened in climate change that began in 1998 when the increase in our planet's surface temperature slowed. So they're saying that when the AMOC slows down, the Earth's surface temperature heats up. It's complicated. You'd like to have a nice tight answer. You know what I'm saying? A nice black and white, one-to-one correlation, but it doesn't really work that way because we live on a planet with somewhat meteorology is meteorology is a much more difficult subject than climate. People who flunk out of meteorology study the climate. So being able to predict, because it's all about fluid mechanics and stuff like that, and thermodynamics and fluid dynamics and all that stuff. So, bottom line is that, yeah, all that's true, and they're talking about in the past. And this is really my whole point of making this video, and really why I'm talking about this right now is they're talking about 1975, 1998, and really even up to 2004. All these times that they are talking about when there were anecdotal correlations between a slower AMOC and surface temperatures, we did not have this going on. This cold spot right here. This is new. This is something that's been talked about since last year. Word around the campfire in the scientific community is that the AMOC is indeed shutting down. This cold patch right here is historically, since record keeping since they've been measuring the temperatures, and this, by the way, these sea surface temperatures right here are well measured and have been well measured since the 1800s. So this historical data of this sea surface temperature here, right here in this spot, just south of Greenland, is well known. This is not mystery stuff here. This patch of water right here is normally anomalously warm, and now it's cold. The reason they believe the AMOC is shutting down is because when this current comes up, turns into the Gulf of Mexico, turns into the Gulf Stream rather, and comes up and turns into the North Atlantic Current, when it dives down in these areas, and I believe the current goes all the way up here, when it dives down, it gives up its heat. And when it does that, it causes this water here to become anomalously warmer. Also, the AMOC, the overturning current, wraps around down here, and there's a piece of this current that comes across the Pacific and comes right on around here. Right on around here, just above Australia, and up around this way, and then dives down. And so this should also be anomalously warmer here as well, and it's not. And if you look at sea surface temperatures, what it looks to me like is that this is the Gulf Stream right here, and it's sort of petering out. All the links are in the description, and make up your own mind. Basically, the word is that what that means is that you have warmer than usual summers in Europe and much, much colder winters. This is what's called a blocking current. This prevents super cold air from coming across towards Europe if it's warmer here. If it's not, well, then you end up with much colder temperatures. And just to reiterate, this past winter in Wales, there was a picture posted of somebody's front door that was sealed. You couldn't see any daylight coming through the top of that door because it was sealed with snow. That's how much snow they got in Wales. There was snow in Tunisia, in different parts of Africa. I think Iran got snow, and hail, a lot of snow, a lot of hail. But that's why they call it climate change, because some areas might be balmy and nice. I mean, you see this nice warm spot here, the Pacific Northwest could be nice there. Supposedly the Sahara Desert is getting a lot of rain lately, so it might green up. Nobody really knows exactly precisely what's going to happen. It's anybody's guess. Is it going to look like the day after tomorrow? Well, I don't know. This winter we had some cold blast came down into Siberia that froze animals in their tracks. Like they were frozen taking a step, like Madame Tussauds, wax museum frozen in place, which is one of the things that they talked about in The Day After Tomorrow, which, that's Hollywood. It's well known that since the 70s, one of the predictions was that while the troposphere warmed, the stratosphere would cool to the point where it would you would have a global store of potential energy that would release suddenly. So it's anybody's guess. That's pretty much it. My name is Crosby Lyles. Thanks for watching, and see ya.